Hey guys, it's Perigaea Tarot here, back with you guys after forever. I'm so happy to be back with you. I have missed you guys. I've missed my channel. Hold on, let me just adjust the camera a little bit. There we go. Right there. So a while back, I promised you guys some law of attraction insights that I thought would be helpful or interesting to people on the channel here. I've had some amazing revelations recently, and kind of in the past few months, because I'm going through the last 6 months of my K2 Mahadasha, and like the universe has like turned the heat up, like turned the pressure up on my life, and I've had a lot of massive revelations. So but this one I thought would help because I have not seen, I do watch videos on YouTube about the law of attraction, but I don't see a lot about this particular issue. So I thought I'd just get into this to see if there's anybody who could be benefited from this, helped in any way. Also, just as a quick side note, I am in the description of my video, I'm including a GoFundMe for a person who is very near and dear to my heart, who is a cult survivor, who is seeking housing security. So they've had a doozy of a life. So if that is something that if you guys want to bless me, just go ahead and bless this person. I'll put a description for it down in the description. So anyways, getting into the main issue. So what I have found in relationship to a lot of YouTube coaches, and I'm not saying that any of the YouTube coaches in relationship to the law of attraction are bad, or I'm not trying to discredit them at all. All I'm trying to say is that there are particular coaches who I actually know them. I have a personal connection to them, and I know quite a bit about their life. And so what I find a lot of people tend to get stuck on is the concept of having something that they've never had before. It seems like with most people who turn to the law of attraction for help, they're not trying to get something that already feels accessible to them. They're trying to get something that they've never had before, maybe that they've grown up their whole life without having this thing. And there's this sort of key point that I feel a lot of the people, the coaches who are very encouraging and very valuable and help people a great deal on YouTube, that they kind of miss, or that they just don't quite understand, because because I know enough about the structure of their life, they just haven't been given the opportunity through their lives to ever sort of realize this. So what I'm talking about is, we all know that when it comes to the law of attraction, that we are attracting what we already have. And one of the first revelations that I will begin to speak about here, let's see, where did I put my notebook? 1 second, guys. 1 second. Okay, guys, so I found my notebook, and I just created this little quick diagram of the first revelation that I'm going to talk about. And this is what I guess you could say, that this really references our relationship to manifestation. That it's like, here there are three main parts. There's the self, there's the core, which is what is manifest right now, what is physically here. And then there's this clouded sort of immediate future that is foggy, that we have a perception about, like what's coming up for us in, like, say, the next few days, the next week. And we have, a number of possible outcomes, but that generally within us, we have a perception of, well, it's going to be within a certain spectrum of things. And then outside, and it's sort of, these are the two areas that are energized. So it's only this one and this one that are energized. And then outside of that, we just have the distant future, this flat plane. It's almost like, in terms of quantum existence, it's like completely flat, completely, like there's just nothing on it. It's like a completely blank slate. And this is the always moving, the ever energized core of what it is that we are, of what it is that we are expressing and perceiving and feeling. This is what is manifest right here. And then this is, these petals around here, these represent the also energized state of our immediate future that is slightly clouded, but that, again, we do generally have sort of a general idea of what we believe is going to happen, what we feel is going to happen. So the only main point that I want to make about this is that if we have something that we desire out here, that we are putting out into the distant future, that is incongruent with this, it will never infiltrate. That basically what it is that we perceive about ourselves right here and right now, that is what we are attracting. And what it is we perceive about our immediate future, that is what we are attracting. And if we want something, if we have this desire that we're attempting to attract, that we are placing out into a distant future that is beyond our current reality and beyond our near future, that it is basically incongruent. And if it is sorry, let me write this down. Incongruent. If it is incongruent with this energized state here, it's never going to break through. What we are right here, right now, in this present state, has to be what that is. We actually have to believe that this thing that we want is what we have, and that it's what we're going to immediately experience, because this is what we are in terms of quantum reality, in terms of attraction, is what we feel right now and what we perceive our immediate future will be. And yes, we can believe that we're going to have something in the future, and it can come in the future, but if it's incongruent with what we believe here and now. It can only infiltrate. It can only get in past this. This is like a barrier. This is like a mass of all our thoughts, all our feelings, all these things that we're expressing right here, right now. And if it is incongruent with these things, it can't get in. So that's one of the first points that I want to make about attraction, is that sometimes when our relationship with something that we want, we try to sit down and perceive, like, I can have this, if I just say enough affirmations, and I just, we absolutely, obviously need to be meditating to silence all those thoughts and to reform them into the shape of what we want them to be, obviously. But it can be easy to get lost in a perception of someday it'll come. It's not here right now. It's not here tomorrow or the next few days, but someday. Because the thing that pushes us through the barrier into being able to have something that we've never had before is our perception of linear time in relationship to manifestation. The reason why I referenced why some coaches don't necessarily seem to have imbued this truth or to have come to this understanding is that, I'm not insulting anybody or discrediting everybody. I believe that even if a coach doesn't understand this, that their encouragement and the things that they do know are incredibly beneficial. And so, what they're doing is of value. I'm just saying that I think that there's a part of this that can be left out from people's lives. I think that some of the people especially people who I know a lot about their lives, who have become coaches on YouTube for the law of attraction, that they've had a success in relationship to some attraction and, bringing things into their lives, because these are things that are not incongruent with what they've had their whole life. Like, say for example, I'll just give an example. Say for an example, you are born into a wealthy family, and you're very loved, you're very supported, you're given everything you want pretty much growing up, and then you become an adult who your parent or parents basically support you. And they not only support you, but they also give you the money to do anything you want, go on vacations, buy all the clothes you want, and you don't have to work. That is essentially what it is to be a millionaire, because those are the trappings of a millionaire. Those are the things that a person has if they are very, very wealthy. So even if you personally did not already have wealth that belonged to you, if you're living in a way that you can have any money you want, because all you have to do is ask your parent, or you have all the benefits of wealth. It's as if you already do have money. So you're perceiving that you already have money. So let me pull this back up again. You're perceiving that you already have money, and so to attract money of your own, there's no feeling of incongruence. So you can absolutely attract it because you already feel that you have it. Whereas if you are born into a situation where you never had money, and you were never given the things that you wanted, or maybe that you were even abused by a narcissist, who, I mean, if any of you know what narcissists tend to do to people is, one of the main purposes of narcissism is to stop other people from being happy. Narcissists do not want to see others be happy because it really highlights their own deep inability to feel true happiness. But it's also about subverting the desires and self-esteem of a person, and basically turning this person into someone who only validates them and serves them with narcissistic supply. And so money, as we all know, which is basically the fuel in the engine of self-esteem, of one's ability to get the things that they want, which, in this world, it's being able to express ourselves in this world and to express what it is we want or what we desire, and whether or not we're able to actually affect change to get those things for ourselves, that's what causes us to have self-esteem. And so if you think about it, with a narcissist, one of their biggest goals is going to be to stop someone from feeling comfortable even expressing what they wish or even taking up space. So there are some of us who have very, very deep wounds when it comes to even just expressing the having of something that we want. But certainly if you are without something and it's very, very apparent in your life, say you're trying to believe that you have money, and yet you are experiencing the lack of it in a way that is profound, like maybe you can't even afford food, things like that. So when it comes to basically getting back to the main focus, so basically you have to believe and feel that you have something right now. And if you can't convince yourself of that, that is what stops people up. So here I'm coming with the solution right after this. So it's like, you can say all the affirmations in the world, but then if you go back out into your life and it's utterly apparent with every breath that you take that you don't have it, well, then that's the feeling of I don't have it. So what is it that can get us beyond that barrier? So I'm going to get right back into that for you guys. Okay, so I just have a few simple diagrams. I'm not really like making them super super intricate for you guys, but so essentially I just want to add a side note that I have been using the law of attraction for about 25 years to bring things into my life, and I believe that it is only through the practiced and dedicated pursuit of understanding of something that you eventually come to the real belief. Because we can hear something, like we can have watched, The Secret movie, like when it came out, like almost like around 20 years ago. And yet, if we don't personally have experience of understanding that one, facet of this is how it really works, because the universe has shown us in our own life, we don't actually believe. So that is another thing that I just want to assert right in there and put in there, is that one of the best ways to really master the law of attraction is to genuinely and dedicatedly try in your own life to understand it, to make it work. And eventually the universe brings you the understanding and the faith that you really need to believe that it actually does work that way. It's like hearing someone say something and actually feeling and knowing that it works are two very different things. And so that's actually very, very important when it comes to the law of attraction. So anyways, getting to the revelation about linear time. So let me open up my notebook here. It might kind of be in front of on the table a little bit. Ooh. So, hold on. Let me find a better place for this. So what the universe showed me is that linear time is not required to bring us the things that we want or desire. And it is the true embodiment and understanding of this revelation that empowers us to know that the law of attraction not only truly does work, but that the things that we want can instantly manifest right now. Like there tends to be sort of a formula that gets presented by some coaches of like, oh, well, just sit down and think, and, speak, do your affirmations. And if you do it perfectly for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, then you'll get this thing. And I'm sure that there are, if there are a lot of people for whom it doesn't work and they get frustrated and then they just hit a brick wall. They've tried it over and over and over again. And it's because deep in their core, as we were talking about before, they're doing that. They're doing the affirmations. They're doing the meditation, but they still at their core believe a certain thing right here and right now is manifest, and a certain immediate future is coming from that for them that is incongruent with the having of it. And it's because of the reality of their life. It's because they weren't born into a situation that is congruent with having it. And so it's really hard to ignore that, because some people kind of get lucky when it comes to the law of attraction, that they are born into a situation that is sort of easy enough that it's not that far from what it is that they want. And so getting it isn't really that what they want isn't really that incongruent with what they already have. And so they don't have to put out that much effort or really try that hard, or their life affords them the ability to, to stay at home and meditate for as long as they want or need to, rather than to have to go to a horrible job or, be afraid, do things that make them afraid, things like that. So it's that they're still in a state that is incongruent, with the actual desire. And so what is it that gets you past that? It's the understanding that linear time is not required to bring us what it is that we want right here and right now. That in the quantum field, right now, in the present time, the thing that we wanted, it can interact with 5 minutes ago, it can interact with yesterday, it can interact with 2 weeks ago, to prepare the thing that we desire so that it arrives instantly. Any concept of, there's a lot of concept of morality that exists in the sort of nebulous collective regarding the things that we want, because many people, I don't want to sound too cynical, but many people, they like to make others feel inadequate and they like to control other people. And a lot of that pertains to controlling people's self-esteem has a great deal to do with, standing in between them and the things that they desire. And so many people come in and try to make people feel that, especially if they've grown up without something and they're having a hard time believing they can have it in the first place, many people will step in and try to make them feel as if they are inadequate, that they don't deserve to have that they have to work for 50 years to prove that they're worthy of it. So if you're already carrying your own burden of very heavy sort of inadequacy, it's going to be hard to push through all that nebulous stuff. The fact is that there's something else that the universe really spoke to me when it showed me this revelation and this truth, is that there's no condemnation. The universe loves us. It wants us to have exactly what we want to have, and it wants us to have it right now. There is no, and the only thing that holds us back from having it is ourselves. But the fact is that, so yesterday, 5 minutes ago, 2 weeks ago, can interact with this present moment so that this thing that we want can be prepared for us before we even know that we want it. So that the moment that we want it, it can arrive and be here in an instant. And I had something like that happen for me. I can give a few examples. Actually, I don't think I'll give any personal examples in that instance, but essentially, so, hold on one second. I'm just taking a look at my notebook here. I want to make sure I don't drop this on any of my candles. So essentially, all dimensions of time fold to serve this moment. Most people who have sought spirituality to any degree understand that the present moment is everything, and that, the concept of right now isn't adequate, I have to wait until tomorrow to be happy, or I have to wait until tomorrow to be fulfilled, is something that pulls you out of your power, and it pulls you out of being in the present moment. Essentially, is one of the most powerful things that we can do on so many levels, certainly on the level of attraction. And once we understand that all dimensions of time reach out to serve this moment, that's when we understand. And when we understand that the universe is willing to create and prepare anything for us. So say you, let's say at 6 p.m. on a Wednesday, you decided that you wanted macaroni and cheese for dinner. and that you wanted it for free, and that you wanted it to arrive for you exactly at that moment, but you didn't realize until that very moment that you wanted it. Well, you know, whatever circumstances, however much time it took to prepare that for you, that is the state in time that that the present moment of that realization can interact with. So 2 hours ago. And that is when the universe, if there's no resistance, will prepare that for you and give it to you. And I'm sure that most people don't really have a lot of resistance to the concept of being able to be good enough for a macaroni and cheese dinner. But the point I'm making is that it doesn't take time. Because if you are placing yourself in a perception of, I have to sit down, I have to start at point A, which is deciding that I want something, and I'll say deciding, and then I'll put desire. And then you have to do all these actions of affirmation, you know, that will get us to this point in linear time down the line where you finally have it. That's keeping us out of the having of it. You know, if you think that you have to go from point A and then go through B, C, D, E, F, G to get to this, then you're not dwelling in the having of it. You're not dwelling in that state of, I'm already there. And that is what causes attraction. And so that's where the trick comes in, is because with people who all, like, say, for example, you have somebody who's like, well, my family has money, like the example I used before, someone who has lots of money, their family has lots of money. And so they basically, and they already have the trappings of money, but they don't have their own personal money. Well, but they already feel like they have money because they do. They have access. They have full access to anything that money can buy, all the comforts that money can buy, the lifestyle that money buys. And if they wanted actual cash, I'm sure they could ask for it. So that's already having it. And so that's why it's congruent with their desire. And so for them, perceiving that, like, oh, okay, I start here and then I have a desire and I talk about it. And then I go, I affirm, I affirm, I affirm, I affirm, I do scripting, I do whatever. And then eventually it will come. Well, the fact that that works for them and it doesn't work for other people is because they're already in a state of having it, because it's already there in their life. And so it's for the people who don't have that they need to be able to understand that present time, that all dimensions of time reach out to serve the now. And so the thing that I want can be prepared for me. Like if I decide that I want, say, something that takes 2 weeks for it to be prepared, for, you know, a person to give it to me, and for them to be primed to not want it and to be willing to give it to me, to reach out to me, all the things that might be needed for that to happen, all those things can already be prepared for you, because the present moment when you realize you want it can interact with those 2 weeks ago to get it started, to get the ball rolling. And it's only when you understand that the nature of linear time does not exist in relationship to manifestation, that is the point when you, as a person who does not already have something from life itself, you know, you haven't been given that from life, that's the only point where you can really believe, I have it now. That's the point where you can truly believe, I have this thing now. I can have it. It can appear immediately, which means I can have anything I want. That is the point where we can really place ourselves in a position of, my life has changed into the thing that I want, and my immediate future will reflect that, is the place of understanding the nature of linear time, and that it does not exist in relationship to manifestation, that there is only the now and all dimensions of time that reach out to serve the now. So I hope this helps you guys. If you need any clarification, just let me know. And I will be back with more insights and readings very soon.